Welcome to the Aprilia Tuareg 660. God, you gotta love these types of bikes. The middleweight adventure segment, they are so much fun. Just make you want to go exploring so much. Woo! So we're here in the New Forest, the south of the UK. There's the Isle of Wight over there. Beautiful day in the Solent here, this stretch of water, but just an ideal type of bike to go exploring for the day in this area to find out what she's all about. So far, so good. Just love these adventure style bikes. I'm not gonna lie, I came into this a little bit skeptical. Title of the video, can it be better than the Yamaha Tenere 700? I love the Tenere 700, so if I'm being completely honest, I thought this Aprilia, there's no way it's going to be better than the Tenere, honestly. I love that CP2 parallel twin in the Tenere. I love the simplicity of it. Just an awesome bike, really good. Take it for a ride if you've never ridden it. I've been blapping this around the New Forest, which is a stunning place to come and ride your bike, especially your adventure bike. This is definitely in for a shout for being better than the Tenere 700. This thing is awesome, and let's go into why I think it is potentially better than the Tenere. So just before we get riding, guys, hit the road, huge thank you to Dearden Motorcycles here in the New Forest for lending me the bike today. They do a few different brands, including Aprilia, and if you fancy test riding this bike, this very bike, give Dearden a shout. I'll put their website down in the description below. You can check them out. It's great to ride around the New Forest on a type of bike like this. So much fun. Getting into the review, without any further ado, fire her up. If we start off with the price, so she's £10,600 out of the box. Now that falls bang in between the Yamaha Tenere 7 and the Yamaha Tenere 7 World Raid. I believe the T7 being 9,900 and the World Raid being 11,300, there or thereabouts. So price wise, yeah, she's in between both the Teneres. Look at these huts here, they're really cool. Just on the Solent, it's like coloured painted huts. You get them on a lot of beaches in the UK actually. I'm not sure what it's about, but nice. They're a nice feature. Start off with the engine. It's a parallel twin with a 270-degree crank on it. Same as the Tenere, excuse me, but there is something about this engine. It's a little bit more powerful than the Tenere 700. This is putting out 80 brake horsepower and 70 newton meters of torque, whereas the Tenere is about 10 bhp less and 1 or 2 newton meters of torque. But straight out of the box, riding this, that CP2, the Yamaha CP2 is used in so many of Yamaha's platforms. It's a really popular engine, very reliable and great fun. It's a brilliant engine for the road. I prefer the engine in this. I'm really amazed. I'm shocked by it. Nothing against the Yamaha engine, but this engine, just being that bit more powerful, for road riding. Listen to that. If you can hear that, it sounds fantastic. I think, I've got to admit, I looked somewhere else, but I think it's the airbox. Oh! Sounds incredible. How they've done that, I don't know, but it is a wicked motor, this, because it's got the 270-degree crank, which a lot of manufacturers do with their parallel twins now, and they say it's meant to mimic a V-twin, but this genuinely does feel like quite a beefy and characterful V-twin. It's a really, really nice motor. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So yeah, I mean, one up to the Aprilia. I'm really surprised. One up to the Aprilia Tuareg over the Yamaha. Now, off-roading, which is best? That's debatable. I haven't been any serious off-roading. I've done a few gravel tracks today. That leads us on to another difference in the two bikes. The big difference in the bikes is the electronic suite. So they're very similar motorcycles. They've both got 21-inch front wheels, 18-inch rear. They're both heavily biased, well, not heavily biased, but they're both designed for riding off-road. Some pretty serious off-roading. Both got parallel twins, similar price, very similar power outputs. However, the Aprilia's got the electronic suite. It's got one up on the Yamaha. So this Aprilia's got 4 riding modes. Got Explore, button down here, so just change that, urban, off-road, and individual. Pop it back in Explore. Also the Aprilia has adjustable traction control, ABS, engine map. Engine braking you can also adjust as well. There's also an option for cruise control, which actually this bike's fitted with. The Yamaha Tenere 7 has none of that. It's got ABS, you can adjust your ABS on and off basically, but other than that, the Yamaha Tenere is very simple. As to whether you see that as a bonus or a downside is entirely up to you, really, and what you want to use the bike for. So if you're heavily off-roading, some may see it as a bonus to have a simple setup, so less electronics, less to go wrong, you know what I mean? So the Yamaha may win in that department. However, I'm giving it to the Tuareg. I do love the simplicity of the Yamaha. It is a benefit, but just that extra ability to adjust what you like, the engine modes, the traction control, ABS, and the cruise control is a biggie for me. Because if I'm being honest, I would use this bike 70% of the time on the road, if not more. I would love to take it off-road, and I would, but I would still be on-road a lot of the time, and it is nice to have those electronics. So that is one up, again, to the old Aprilia. It's taking it on the electronics front. Not considerably quicker, but it's definitely quicker than the Ténéré on road. That's for sure. So guys, suspension. So we've perched here under this tree, nice spot for it. The Aprilia's got 240mm travel up front and rear, whereas the standard T7 Ténéré is 230mm up front and 220 on the rear. So the Aprilia actually has that extra bit of suspension travel, which could be seen as, well, a bonus off-road really. Yeah, it feels encouraging off-road. It just feels like there's plenty of travel there to yeah, get up some mischief off-road. So as for talking off-road, because it is pretty much designed for a lot of off-road use, the weight is 204 kilograms on the Aprilia. The T7, the standard T7 wet weight is 204, so they're exactly the same weight. 204, nice feeling bikes weight wise, a high seat height, but you can, I'm 5'9", I can sort of tiptoe it on the ground, but that's the beauty of these middleweight adventure bikes really. You can feel the lack of weight compared to the larger adventure bikes. It's much more confidence inspiring. When you see a gravel track or anywhere just to go off-roading a bit, you feel much better and easier on these middleweight adventure bikes than you do on something like a GS or an Africa Twin, etc. Right, brakes guys, comparing the two, I'm not going to go too much into detail, but you've got two 300mm discs up front with a 4-piston Brembo caliper. The T7, slightly smaller discs up front, and it's actually got a 2-piston caliper that's up front. So the Aprilia has stronger brakes. Now for off-roading, you don't necessarily want really strong brakes. So it's really personal preference, but again, I'm gonna give the braking because a lot of the times being used on road, I do anyway, personally. I'm gonna give the braking again to the Aprilia, taking the win on the brakes. Just before we jump back on the road, let's go into fuel. As these are adventure bikes, you might be wanting to go long distances where there aren't very many fuel stations around. Excuse me, I'm looking right into the sun. So you have an 18-litre tank on here, giving you a maximum range of 190 miles. Comparing that to the Ténéré has the standard Ténéré has a 16-litre tank, with less than 190 miles. So comparing those two, then the Aprilia takes it. However, you do have the Ténéré World Raid, which has a 23 litre tank with over 200 miles of range. So it depends which one you go for, but if we're comparing this with the basic Ténéré, the Aprilia takes it again, I'm afraid. Hashtag be a racer. Oh, I'm enjoying this bike. Really surprised. I mean, the steering lock on both the bikes fantastic, being adventure bikes, off-road bikes. Let's get on to the seat height. The seat height of the Aprilia is 830 to 880 millimeters. At the moment it's at 860 mil in its standard form. Ténéré is at 890 mil, so it's a higher seat height, which may be beneficial for your off-roading. I'd see neither a winner there, possibly more adjustment in the seat height in the Aprilia, so it could be a winner, but I'm not going to give a winner for seat height. It's not a biggie. They're both pretty high seats in my opinion, and that is it. Have I paid for parking? I haven't, but I was less than 20 minutes, and you promised if I was less than 20 minutes, counts as a drop-off. So I hope I don't get a fine there. So guys, it looks like the Aprilia is pretty much winning the battle at the moment, which facts and figures and tech-wise it sort of is. But that's really not what the bike's all are about. What are they like to ride? Well, I thoroughly enjoy the Ténéré. There's something about the Ténéré which really inspires confidence. Mainly in the, look at this, beautiful. Mainly in the build quality, I think it is in the Ténéré. It just feels like bomb-proof, with the lack of electronics being a bonus for far-flung places, wherever you are, Morocco or somewhere. Having those lack of electronics, actually it makes you more confident. You're not going to get any electrical niggles. Now that's not to say that the Aprilia is unreliable, but given the track record of that CP2 engine in the Yamaha and just Yamaha's reliability record, that's a big bonus in that Ténéré. It does fill you with confidence. On top of that, now I've only been some light off-road gravel tracks, but I would say the Ténéré is easier off-road, on very basic off-roads. Look, I haven't done anything technical, I can't say for that, but basic off-roading, I'm going to give a point to the Yamaha for sure, and just reliability and just ease of riding. You just jump on and go. There's no electrics. Not hardly any electrics to adjust or anything. It's just really cool that it's that simple. That is a good point, to be honest, but that's personal preference. But this 660, it's got some go. So it's the engine from the, is it the RS, the sports bike, the Aprilia 660. It's detuned, so in the sports bike it's putting out 100 brake horsepower, but you can feel the sporty DNA in this engine. It is more fun than the Ténéré. So onto the suspension, because it is longer travel than the Ténéré. What's the handling like? Does it compromise the handling on road? Well, first off, it's fully adjustable front and rear. It's not electric suspension, it's with the manually done, but I don't think it does compromise the handling on road. It's obviously, you have the 21-inch front. It's not a sporty ride on the road, but it handles well for an adventure bike with long travel suspension, 21-inch. I'm going to call it a draw handling wise on road compared to the Ténéré. They're fun bikes. Look, you're not going to be really digging it into corners, leaning in, exploring the limits of its handling, but they're good fun, and you can hustle it and enjoy riding a twisty road, which is important on these bikes. Now, as I just did there, if you yank on those front brakes, you do get dive on the front end, but again, as to be expected on an adventure bike like this, it's not a deal breaker for me. It doesn't upset the stability of the bike too much at all. Doesn't make it feel dangerous with that dive at the front. It's actually sort of not too bad at all, which I'm surprised by. So yeah, suspension setup, handling, really good on the Aprilia. I mean, of course, there is a bit of dive there when you go on the front brakes. It is larger travel suspension, but it's really not bad. So what's the riding position like? Well, I would actually say the bars are, I don't know the exact figures, but the bars feel higher on this than they do on the Ténéré, which makes it great for standing up and looking at the horses. Sit down for this one. It's the beauty of the New Forest. Hey bud. Yeah, and actually as soon as you sit on the bike, you can feel they're high handlebars, which gives you more of the feeling of sitting in the bike, and it's actually very comfortable. Your arms are just straight out, nice bend in your arms, nice comfortable riding position. Moving on to the seat, it is a bench style seat, so it's a long seat and it's fairly narrow as well. I'm actually quite of a slight build, so I actually have found this really comfortable all day. But I can imagine if you're slightly larger of stature, you may find it less comfortable. But for me personally, it's no problem. I mean, of course, you'll be more comfortable on a GS or a Tiger 1200 or something, but for this style of bike, it's a comfy seat, comfy riding position. So guys, just the main bonus of this bike and the Ténéré, they're both fantastic, true adventure bikes. Really fun. Like this gnarls bit on the edge of the road here. Whoops, didn't mean to do that, but yeah, you can just ride off there so easily. I wouldn't want to do that on a sports bike or anything, but this just makes you want to go exploring. They're so good for that, both these bikes. Is there a clear winner for both of them? It's really hard to say. Which one would I have? Now, I'm not allowed to sit on the fence. I'll give you my opinion. If I was going to buy one tomorrow, I would get the Aprilia. Reasons: the engine is faster, it's a more characterful engine, I think, and it makes a wicked sound. Which is surprising. It's the airbox at the front, but it sounds very cool. And also the electronics, because I'm going to be on road, if I'm being honest, quite a lot, and cruise control I love. Different rider modes, not too fussed about, but yeah, just the more electronics are better for longer distance to be more comfortable on road, really. However, the better bike overall, I think you've just got to go for what you personally want the bike for like most motorcycles, you know. If you're looking for a really hardcore off-road motorcycle and you're going to be out in the desert or, you know, far-flung places, and maybe you prefer the Ténéré because of the lack of electronics. Simpler bike. It's really down to personal preference, but personally, to give you an idea, I would go for the Aprilia. Cool. Many thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Stay happy out there, keep riding, enjoy your bikes. If you like the video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'm going to try and get out of this roundabout without being wiped out, and I'll see you in the next vid. Ciao Bella.